All right, we should be live. Well, hello and welcome everyone to the stream. Today we're doing something a little different. You'll notice there's no delay. First things first, and today we are doing some one-on-one coaching with
Myself, Aero.
Aero. That's the name we're going to go with. Yeah. All right. So we're playing some 25 NLZ today on PokerStars. So the way we're going to go through this, Aaron, I think my opinion of you right now is that you have quite a decent conceptual understanding of what's going on. You sort of understand what all the words mean.
Yeah.
But I just don't think you're very good at articulating your thought processes.
Yeah.
And I think that's what we're going to work on mostly. It's just really understanding why we do certain things. So I'm not going to go over specific spots and how to play them so much in detail. It's more just about making sure that overall what you're thinking is along the right lines at least. So thank you for the host, by the way. Good shout.
No problem.
So yeah, I think we're going to get right into this. This video will also be available as a YouTube video shortly afterwards. We'll see how long it goes for. Planning on going for about an hour here, but just going to cover the whole session and any questions that Aaron has. So cool. Let's get right into it. So yeah, the way this is going to work mostly is I'm just going to watch the video and get you to explain what you did. Sort of why you did stuff.
Yeah.
And I'll identify whether you're thinking of good reasons to do stuff or not.
All right, it's time.
Is the basic thing. So here we have ace-6 off. Okay, so first thing, I know you don't really play much 25NL Zoom. Is that right? Whenever we see someone with a short stack like this, like half a stack, we can just tag them as a fish or a recreation.
Yeah. Oh, I do that later on in the session.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah. I think it's really valuable. Even just from playing last night, I started tagging a big chunk of the pool. It was really helpful to me, actually. Shout out everyone who's joined the chat right now. We got Aero Streams, AJD1259. Thanks for the follow this morning, my friend. We have Alfred Judicus, and we have Guna down. All right, let's keep going here. All right, so this defense seems pretty standard. What's the worst offsuit ace-X that you would defend in this spot?
Deuce.
Just all the ace-X?
Probably. I think. Yeah. I'll be defending all my ace-X. I mean, ace-deuce off, obviously, and any suited ace might turn into a bit of a 3-bet bluff.
Okay, a few things there. Firstly, one of the main things to consider with stakes like this, around where your stake level is that rake is really high, particularly on stars. So while it's not a big mistake to defend all our ace-X versus a 2.5x from the button, if the button went to 3x or it was the cutoff, definitely want to fold some of the worst ones.
Okay.
I think this ace-6 off is just about okay, is what I would say. But definitely be careful with defending too many ace-X in the big blind.
Okay.
We'll talk about big blind 3 betting afterwards.
Alright.
But yeah, okay. So we check. Very standard. And we just fold. Yeah, that's obviously fine. Okay, I guess this is a good time to talk about big blind 3 betting.
Okay.
So, in the big blind, so you understand what a linear range is versus a polarized range, right?
Yeah.
When we're in the big blind, we are obviously out of position. And we get really good odds to call. Yeah. So we don't really want to 3-bet bluff. We're not really incentivized to do it. If we have a bad hand and we go for a 3-bet here, we're just going to be losing too much money with it. So we want to use quite a linear range. Now, it doesn't mean we only use queens plus, right? Right. So we're gonna 3-bet, mostly good suited hands and decent high pairs.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
I mean, obviously,
go on.
Obviously, I have my ranges that I invested in with upswing, and they are pretty linear. The straight raises that I'm aware of is obviously 10s plus, ace queen offsuit plus, and probably ace 10 suited plus, and then obviously you can raise your suited 8-7 suited, 9-8 suited.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, now a question I'd have: there is also an argument maybe to call as well. you're like 8-7 suited and like ace-5 suited.
So, given what we just said, we definitely want to 3-bet more often than that by quite a bit. So we want to 3-bet some other good suited stuff like Jack 10 suited and Queen 10 suited and King Jack suited, and stuff like that. We can definitely 3-bet. We can definitely 3-bet stuff like Ace 8 suited as well. That stuff is fine, but the worst suited Ace X are better as a flat, and the same with suited connectors generally. But also, tens plus is way too tight on the pocket pairs side as well. Like that. This range is still very polarized. I mean, I do it as like 6s plus. But I can understand why you might not be too comfortable doing that just yet. But it's a good thing to think about in general. We just want to 3-bet all of the good to great hands rather than some good hands and some bad hands. Is a general thing. Getting the exact frequency down is tough though, for sure. I won't go into that here, or we'll be here all day.
I get you.
All right. Easy fast fold. I guess we just get a few fast folds.
Oh yeah.
Okay, so here you went to fast fold, but you did open. This is fine as an open. We can look to fold it if there are good regs in the big blind. Or on the button, but as a standard, it's fine as an open. We can maybe fold given the rake as well. It's close this hand anyway, for sure. You can do either. Alright, let's see what happens here. People in chat and Facebook messaging me. I won't be reading chat or responding to Facebook messages too much, but if you have any feedback on like if I start chatting complete shit, then that's okay. I'll look at it afterwards. And I'm sure Aaron can check it out if needs be.
I'll keep an eye on the chat and Facebook.
All right, 7-5-3.
1 minute. Sorry, I have just like 5 seconds delay. I think I'm not sure what I do here actually. 1 minute. Let me catch up so then I can see what's going on.
Just on the stream you're on the 5-second delay.
Okay, I Cbet here, don't I?
Yeah, so you went for a small Cbet here. So talk me through your thought process here. The main thing is, so why did we choose this size? Is the big thing. Firstly,
just 1 second.
No worries.
Yeah, I went for a third sizing just because it's. I don't know. I think I realised after I bet maybe I shouldn't, but in these sort of spots when I get in a particularly low board, especially when it's sort of rainbow board, I just tend to protect my range and just Cbet a third bet. So if I do get free bet, the sizing is usually smaller. Instead, because if I went for a larger sizing, like
then he gets a better price on his resteal. Yeah. Okay. The problem here with this strat on this particular board. Is that the big blind? So the main reason we use a third pot Cbet with our whole range in some spots is because it becomes very difficult for particularly the big blind to defend often enough.
Right.
So if the board is like Queen 3 deuce, then he has lots of hands like 9-8 and Jack 10 and like pocket fours that all are just not very happy to call, right?
Right. Okay. I see.
Whereas on this board, the big blind has loads of hands that he can consider calling.
Okay.
You know, he has like tons of suited 7x, tons of 6-5, 7-6, 4-3. And the other thing about this board is that the big blind has combinations of the nuts that you don't have.
Like 7s, 5s. Well, sorry.
Well,
sorry.
You do have sets. You do have sets, but you don't have straights. You don't have two pairs. The big blind does.
Yeah. Okay.
Particularly when we have a hand like Jack 10 off here. We have such bad equity that on a board like this, we want to mostly check our trash.
Okay,
and bet like more high equity hands like maybe our 9-8 suiteds, 8-6 suiteds.
What about overpairs?
Overpairs, general rule of thumb is betting the more vulnerable ones and checking the better ones, right?
Right.
So I would mostly lean towards checking aces on this board.
Yep. Okay.
Yeah. The third pot can be okay if you know particular that someone is very, very weak. But as a general rule of thumb, on a board like this, we want to use a polarized c-betting strat. Alright, are we alright with that?
Yeah.
Yeah, cool. Alright. Yeah, this just happens too often. Like, if we c-bet everything on this board, we just get absolutely dicked when we get raised. And he can just raise a ton of hands, right?
Yeah.
Alright. Pretty happy with that. Alright, I said I wasn't going to mostly ignore the chat. The chat is saying that Stars has actually pretty decent rake, but the rake back is quite bad, and we still want to account for it. Alright. Not the most detailed response, I know. Alright. We thought about it with the 40s.
I'm still catching up, so I'm not sure what's going on.
Alright, okay. Are you just watching the video, like...
It's just a couple seconds behind you, that's all, just because I'm watching it through the stream.
Sure.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Was it the 4 deuce hand?
Yeah.
I wasn't thinking about it. I think I might have been doing something.
Alright, so... So this spot we decide to call. This is the kind of hand that I'm on about, like, maybe 3-betting sometimes out of the big blind.
Yeah.
Probably not versus the cutoff, but like if this
I just thought Andy's sizing was particularly large. Larger than normal.
Yeah, for sure. And that does indicate that he has a tighter range normally.
Yeah.
So yeah, that seems fine. All right. Interesting board.
Let me just catch up and see this board. Yeah. Okay. I think I'll have to check because out of position, I'll be checking like any of my hands here.
Yeah.
And just let it pass on to the lead.
Yeah, there are some boards where we can look to donk. I don't think.
I don't really know much about that for sure. So I think
like at the stage that you're at, Aaron, you can't go wrong with checking every hand out of the big blind on every board. That's fine, honestly. All right, so facing a half pot bet here. What are our thoughts on what we can do?
Obviously, we have a lot of equity now because we have an open ender. We have the obviously the second up straight draw. We have backdoor flush draw. So we have a lot of equity to lead or bluff here. I think I opt a call. Not really sure. I don't know. There's obviously an argument for both. Obviously, if you raise, you can bet with your equity, and if you get, obviously, you can make him fold any hand. But I think I just opt to call. But I wouldn't. I don't know.
Okay.
See, I'm one of these,
it is.
I think
it
I'm at a
is.
stage
It is
where,
close. Like
do either. Yeah.
This is. It's definitely not a mistake to do either.
Yeah.
I think a hand like this is nice as a raise.
Yeah.
Because
I mean,
we don't mind.
Seeing a turn.
Well, that's a reason to call, right?
Oh, okay.
If we like are happy to see turns, then we have like good implied odds on certain turns.
Yeah.
Then that's a reason to call.
Yeah.
Right. This hand is somewhere in the middle of the road.
Yeah.
Because there are some bad runouts. If we turn a 7, we still have some reverse implied odds when he has Queen 9 suited.
Yeah.
And if we turn a Queen, we still have some reverse implied odds if he maybe has Ace King sometimes.
Yeah.
Although that probably doesn't bet call very often.
Yeah.
Honestly, when we have a spot like this, even me now, I'm like not sure entirely which option is better. I would like to mix this hand into the raising range sometimes.
Yeah.
That's why I roll a dice. If you just want to do it on like how you feel that day, it's fine as well.
Yeah.
But you can certainly either call or raise here.
Yep.
Yeah, that's my thoughts on it.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, definitely want to. I think a decent way of doing it as well is to mostly call the pair plus 9x and mostly raise the ones that don't have pairs.
Yeah.
All right. So, I guess we decide to call King on the turn. King on the turn is a pretty weird card, for sure. All right. What are we thinking here?
Once that let me catch up, I check down my.
So you check, you check the king of clubs turn, and he goes for a half pot bet.
Yeah. Again, a bit of it's a interesting card. Obviously, I still. Obviously now, if I catch a queen on the river, I'm beaten by any ace.
Mm-hmm.
And obviously now my equity is. Well, I mean, I have top pair now, but my drawing equity is now dropped because obviously there's no flush draw anymore, and I'm now only really drawing to a 7 to improve. I mean, a queen is obviously improving, but we can still be obviously beaten by any ace X now.
Yeah, I think the way to think about that is that when we hit a queen, we don't make more money. Really, we never make more money. We sometimes lose more money to an ace, but we never really get paid by worse on a queen river, right?
Yeah.
I think something about the spot. I don't know if you're about to say it, but I think the same is true of a 7 as well. I think when we hit a 7 here, we're just not going to get paid by worse.
Yeah. No, I agree with that.
So the draw here is actually surprisingly not very valuable.
Yeah, no, I agree with that.
Yeah.
So I think with that, I think I do opt to call, if I remember rightly, but I doubt I've raised. I hope I've not raised.
I don't think raising the spot is great because having a king. I have called, but I hope. Okay. Having a king here is definitely not a bad card to have as a raise.
Yeah.
But he's not really repping king jack and king 10 here. He's mostly representing a set or a two a worse 2 pair. So king honestly not that much showdown value here. We're almost never going to be against a complete airball, so we almost never have the best hand.
Mm-hmm.
And our draw's not very good.
Okay.
So while it might look nice that we have top pair and an open ender here, realistically speaking, there's not very many good things that happen on the river when we call.
Yeah, true.
So I would probably look to fold this.
Okay.
Having a queen is a lot better. We can prefer to call hands like queen jack, queen 10, and club draws.
Okay.
Yeah, another general concept as well, which is quite important. In spots where we don't expect the other person to have a bluff very often, like this spot. Right, we don't expect to get shown a bluff very often at this stage, right?
Yeah.
Particularly given that the guy is, short stacking pre and stuff.
Yeah.
In those spots, we prefer to call with higher equity hands than higher showdown value hands. More draws and stuff. Do you see why that is?
Yeah.
Because having a king is not great if his whole range beats a king, basically.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Alright. Cool. So I would probably fold. It can't be that big of a mistake to call though, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm curious, I don't know what I do in the end. I think I do...
Ooh, the offsuit queen river. So I guess you just check back and win against jack 10 or something. Yeah, that's nice when that happens, for sure. Alright. I think we've been through that hand enough though. Do you have any questions about that? Or?
No, that's fine.
Cool. Alright. Yep.
Someone's saying you need to throw the queen 9 in a spot in the solver to see how neat that fold would be.
The king 9 suited. King 9 suited here is a mandatory call. I mean, how often do we expect to get shown a worse value hand, Denton? It's pretty rare, man. I think we are pretty okay with just folding now. Honestly, it can't be a big mistake to call though, for sure. Maybe I'm in it. Maybe people are just going to blast off in that spot against me in future, but I don't really see it. You can make up your own mind. All right, so 8-7 off on the button. Okay, it's a little bit loose, but it can't be that bad on the button.
Yeah, I don't know. Yeah. It's just one of those where I feel I don't know. Maybe I need to tighten up my range, especially on the button. In 6 maximum as well.
So you want to be raising about 40% of hands.
Okay.
If you start throwing loads of offsuit connectors in, it can get.
Yeah.
It's really easy to get up to the 50s.
Yeah. I mean, I use obviously the ranges that I've got.
Yeah, for sure.
And
for sure.
yeah, 8-7 off on the button is still loose, even according to them. So
right, okay. Well, yeah, there you go. It's definitely a tad loose.
It's one of those where it depends on the field, and obviously
for sure. If the big blind is like a bad player, then we can definitely get away with raising quite a bit more often on the button. Like we can even go as high as like 55, 60 if that's the case.
Okay.
And people in general probably aren't going to 3-bet enough out of the blinds.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't worry too much. Alright. Alright. So yeah, here's another spot where we can tag the big blind as a wreck.
I do eventually do it.
Oh, you do it at some point. Alright, that's fine,
yeah.
that's fine. Alright, so obviously opening his hand.
I think I noticed it as well. It's a bit unusual. I don't know why I didn't start tagging. Okay, check.
Yeah, good fold. Yeah, I was a bit worried you were going to call that, but
no.
Calling the 3-bets out of position is like a really big.
I think I'm calling at most king queen off.
Even king queen off ought to be a fold.
Yeah.
Like stick to you want to stick to like good implied odds hands rather than these kind of like reverse implied odds not great playability hands.
Yeah.
Like we can probably get away with folding like ace jack off, king queen off, all that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that's fine. All right. Who's messaging me? Oh, sorry. Sorry about this. All right. All right. Yep, that's fine as a fast hold.
Yeah.
That's fine. Card play there. Oh,
Like
sorry, someone's hitting me
on
up on
small
Steam.
blind. Oh,
hold on. All right. All right. Oh, ooh, Aaron, my boy. All right. So Jack 9 off here. Jack 9 off here is quite a bit too loose. As we already said, Jack 10 off in the cutoff was like kind of maybe a bit loose, right? Jack 9 off in the hijack, way too loose.
Yeah.
Do you want me to give you like an estimation of a hijack opening range, just like right now?
With the equity I have, what versus...
Well, no, it's not that. Just like show you like what kind of range you want to be raising.
Oh,
because this is a pretty significant mistake.
This is a fold. I don't know why.
This is a really significant mistake.
I'm not even really opening Jack 10 off there.
You shouldn't be. Yeah, you shouldn't be. You shouldn't even be opening Queen Jack off.
Yeah.
From here, like, let me show you. So you want to be opening about like 18% of hands from here, right? Okay. So we can definitely throw like fives in, all the suited ace X, some of this stuff. So something like this range is more like what we want to do. And you can see that Jack 9 off is just like quite a bit too loose.
Yeah.
But yeah, and particularly given that high rake at these low stakes that we talked about.
Yeah, I think just
even if Stars rake isn't that bad, guys. Yeah. Dude, we still have to play tight and stuff. Yeah, but don't worry about
discipline a bit.
I mean, I don't really like know the opening ranges down like exactly.
Yeah.
I never like sat down with the charts and just learned exactly what hands I'm opening from each position, because you want to be able to be a little bit dynamic with that stuff.
Yeah.
I just sort of like intuit it, and that comes with time. For sure. Yeah. Oh, King 10 off is a little questionable as well. But yeah. All right. I think you're aware that this is too loose. That's fine.
Yeah.
No worries. All right. Nice.
Don't know how far my stream is behind. That's crazy. Haven't even got to the King 10 hand yet.
Oh, there's a King 10 hand.
Oh no, I thought that's what you said. My bad. That's what I was getting
Random Demon 1 says, I would recommend learning the opening ranges exactly. I mean, it's not a bad use of your time, but it's just like... I just think there are better things you could be doing, and you want to be dynamic with them anyway. But maybe it might make sense.
I mean, I have mine on hand, and my rangers would say that wasn't too loose. So
yeah,
I think upswing recommend at least the worst hand you're opening is Queen Jack. For some reason, they say
Queen
you should
Jack
open
off.
it on
Yeah. Okay, yeah, something like that is fine. But yeah, as long as you're in the right like ballpark, it's probably alright. Alright. Yeah, that becomes an easy fold. What were you thinking of doing if the button folded? Just out of by chance.
Probably just folds.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, that's fine, for sure. Yeah, it's a little too loose to 3-bet, and you're aware that we don't want to flat any hands here, right?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if it was more like the big blind, obviously I can. Well, even so, I think I'd still be folding.
What in the big blind?
No. If the big blind was the only one to open, and it was actually.
Oh, the button. You mean the button?
Yeah.
Yeah. We can get away with 3-betting this versus the button.
Okay.
But it's like somewhat marginal. But yeah, versus the cutoff, definitely not. Okay. All right. As long as the main thing there is, again, it's a linear range, not a polarized range. Yeah. And just not to flat any hands. As long as you've got that down, then that's all right for that. All right. Okay. All right. Yeah, not too much here, other than like if you're gonna really like play 25NL Zoom, you know, getting to know like who the regs are and like tagging people as fast as possible, you can really like get some EV from that.
Okay.
There'll probably come some spots later in this where if you knew whether they were a reg or not, can definitely influence the decision quite a bit.
Yeah. Okay.
Like the King 9 suited hand, you probably have to call that versus a reg, but like definitely not versus a rec, for example.
Yeah.
All right. So obviously pretty good hand here.
The queens.
All right, let's talk about this. So, firstly, as we said, this is a linear range, so obviously queens is in there. But we definitely have some hands in the middle.
Okay.
The one thing I'll say about this is that the sizing is considerably too small.
Okay, right.
As a general rule, when you're out of position, you can't go wrong going to like 10 big blinds.
Right,
or
okay.
The way I do it is I like press the pot button and add 2 clicks. That works as well. But like in this spot, you probably want to be going more like $3.
Okay.
With your 3-bet range. If you 3-bet too small out of the when you're out of position, people can just call tons and tons of hands, and then you have to play a whole hand out of position really often.
Yeah,
which is really bad. Like I remember when I started just like making my 3-bets massive constantly, the game just got a lot easier for me.
Okay, yeah.
So yeah, definitely something to keep in mind.
Like 4x or something.
I mean that's an okay way to do it as well when you're out of position. Yeah. When you go 4x, you'll always get like an.
I think I remember when I did size this. I thought, I think it's because people were like usually opening like 60 cents. So I think I just like instinctively just went like 220.
Oh right, okay, yeah. No, when they go,
that's the problem. For some reason, I went down. I don't know why.
No. When they go bigger, we generally want to go bigger ourselves. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because of pot odds and that. You know
Queen 9 off.
All right, Queen 9 off is fine. Isn't it? Open?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So remember, this is like a 40% range in general. Queen 9 off just about squeezes in there. That's fine. All right. ace 9 off. Alright. So, let's talk about this spot, because I think you're probably playing this spot reasonably fine in general, but we can talk about it anyway, because it might be something difficult. So, would you open limp any hands here?
Well, no, probably not.
No.
I'd just raise.
Yeah, okay.
But that's again just going off the ranges that I have.
Okay.
It just opts to raise only, but never limp.
So a couple of things. Firstly, the reason that we don't want to limp this spot is just because you're at a stake where the rake is too high to allow you to do it.
Yep.
For that same reason, we want to be going a little bit bigger than 2.5x when we're in the small blind.
Right.
I would go to 3x. You can go bigger than that, but 2.5x is going to be too small because the big blind's going to get to call too often.
Yep.
I guess the other question is, roughly what percentage of hands do you think we ought to raise? I know you probably don't think of it in terms of like a percentage. You probably think of it just as like a range. Or like a better way of putting it is, what's the worst hand you would open?
The worst hand I'd open?
Yeah, the absolute worst hand you would open here.
Am I allowed to quote my ranges? Or do
That's fine. That's fine. Quote your ranges. I'll tell them if they're. I'll tell you if they're awful.
I think if it was the worst, 5-3 suit. Oh no, sorry, no. Well, then again, suit's got equity, hasn't it? I don't know. I'll chuck in random hands like king 8 off, king 3 suited, 5-3 suited, deuces.
Those are all fine. Those are all fine. Yeah. Okay. It sounds like you've got about the right range. Yeah.
Yeah. I think
5-3 suited is pretty marginal, but like. That sounds about right, yeah.
I want to say 65%, but I'm just looking at it and guessing.
65 is way too loose.
Oh, is it? Okay,
anywhere between like 45 and 50% is fine. But if you want to use that as like a pretty like a mix of loads of random shit, then that's not terrible.
Yeah.
Yeah, just don't open like 7-6 off or stuff like that.
No.
Yeah. Okay. All right, I think we're all right then. Okay, so let's see what you do here. All right, so we go for basically third pot here.
Yeah. I think the reason for this was just that obviously it's I don't know what runs through my head is like this probably favors me more than the big blind's defend range.
Yeah, so
going smaller gives him better odds to call and see a turn.
1/3 pot woo. So yeah, I mean, going 1/3 here is definitely the correct play. Firstly,
and the thing is, the only hand that's drawing to a better, the only be King Jack in this spot. There's no flushes that are obviously going to complete on the turn, and obviously. Yeah, it just
no, those are all good reasons for sure.
Yeah, and we never want to check here because.
One thing I would say on this particular board is that you are still going to get called a lot when you go third pot, because he has tons of like suited 7x, suited queen x, suited ace x. So if you want to be really cheeky, you can go small when you have it and massive when you don't. It sounds terrible, but the opponent never has ace queen, never has aces, never has queens. You have all of the same 2-pair combos. His range is usually, most people are defending wider than you're opening. You can get away with that as well if you want, for sure. But betting a third pot with everything on this board is totally fine as well. Yeah. All right, that's good. One thing I'll mention here is that because the ranges are so wide, the nut advantage isn't as important.
Right.
But you still have a pretty significant overall range advantage because you have good ace-x more often. Yeah.
Okay.
It's mainly just because your range is tighter than his. Yeah. All right, that's good. Woo! Denton in the chat. I know Denton's gonna love the third pot every time. Denton just does it on every board every time. So. Oh dear. To be fair, he didn't say anything about the 7-5-3 board, but we'll see. Okay, good. that was definitely getting a bit cheeky, Aaron.
I think I might have done
teasing
some
the open,
like,
teasing the open with the 10-9 off.
If I am clicking buttons, sometimes I am just thinking.
I see.
Like,
Yeah, I see. Yeah. I've seen you do that. Yeah, for sure. All right. Okay. Okay. Yeah, Denton agrees with me on the 7-5-3. That's good. That's good. I'm glad to see that. All right. Obviously, fine open here. Right. What are we thinking here? What are we thinking?
Queen 9 suited.
Queen 9 suited. We get Jack 7-3. So first things first. Are we betting this particular hand, or not?
I'll just talk from the thought
That's
process.
fine.
So obviously we have backdoor flush equity, and we have turn cards that will improve our hand significantly in equity.
Yep.
But as it stands, we're not going to improve greatly on the turn. Like, we're not gonna like make a hand that has value, if you understand what I'm getting at.
Very rarely, at least. Yeah.
Yeah.
Obviously we can hit a queen, but that's about it. Yeah.
So I have no idea what I've done. I think I may have checked back here.
Okay. So we
Not,
definitely.
I'm not sure.
So shout out Random Demon 1. We're gonna go for the third pot everything on this board as well.
Okay.
It might seem a little weird because this board is a bit more like connected, and there's gonna be some combo draws in there as well, and you will get raised a fair chunk. But we just have more good Jack X. We have overpairs. We have all the same like sets. This hand in particular definitely wants to bet for a lot of the reasons that you just mentioned. Because we just have loads of great barreling turns, right? Like any club, king, queen, 10, 8. They're all really good cards that we can turn equity on.
Yeah.
So we definitely want to go third pot with our entire range. Here.
Yeah, I don't know what I did in the end, but
yeah, okay. Yeah, a half is a little bit on the big side for sure.
Okay, so did I actually bet in the end? Yeah, okay.
You bet half. But we can just get away with third potting.
That's fine.
You could, if you wanted to, exploitatively bet a little bigger when you have a hand like this, so you get raised less often, which is an advantage for this hand.
Right. Okay.
If you wanted to do that, but you can't go wrong just third potting your entire range, and it's more simple as well.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Good stuff. Yeah, the nice thing about betting third pot as well is, like, on that board, he doesn't have as many of those, like, airy hands that we talked about putting in a tough spot. But he has so many, like, gut shots, over-type cards, backdoor flush draw type hands, even hands like 4s and 5s are like, what the fuck do I do now? You know.
Yeah, okay.
So lots of good stuff there. Yeah. All right. 8 D's off. Fucking hell, we've been going for like 40 minutes. All right, I'll try and speed up a bit.
Actually. Oh,
yeah. All right, so we open king queen off. We get flattered by 2 short stacks though.
Yes, this is where I start tagging, I think, because I'm like, what? This hand is like stupid already.
Yeah, exactly.
Because obviously, you might find, well, my belief is, and just out of the content that I've invested in and stuff, flatting on the small blind is probably the worst thing you can do, especially multi-way as well.
It's you're out of position. It's pretty bad. Like, he can get away with it if he thinks that the cutoff here is really bad, or if he thinks that the big blind is really bad.
Yeah.
Then it can be like, okay, but as a general rule, just do everything out the small blind.
So yeah, start tagging.
So
with this flop,
we get checked too on this flop.
Yeah, I just opt to check. Clearly recreational players, I don't really know where I'm at, because obviously they're not playing, well, they may not be playing ranges that maybe a more advanced player would
They might be playing a little sketch.
Preflop,
right?
There's a lot of hands in there that wouldn't be in an ordinary nature I may think of when someone flats next to me on the cut off. So I just opt to check. I have 2 hours. I'm not drawing to anything. I've got pretty much 0 draw on equity here. I just have 2 overs. That's pretty much it.
Yeah.
The board's...
So we definitely want to check, but
yeah,
it might not be quite for the reasons that you think so.
okay.
Is all I'm going to say. So first things first, if they have a wider range, it means that they miss the board more often, which makes us want to bet more often.
Right. Okay.
The main reason we want to check this spot is just because when there's 2 players, like a bluff has to work really, really frequently for it to be profitable. Right, like they both have to be folding a ton for it to be profitable.
Yep.
And something that I've started doing, which I would recommend you start doing as well, is when you get a multi-way pot like this as the pre-flop aggressor, just check everything to the imposition player.
Right, okay.
Because you can't really bluff. People know that you can't really bluff. And people play badly versus the checking range.
Yeah, okay. Okay.
So...
Would we check, like, 7s here?
Yeah. Oh, 7s is a very, very clear check. The only hand I might want to, like, exploit... when they're wrecks, we can probably do it more exploitatively and bet, like,
what if we
ace.
had, like, king, queen suited of diamonds?
Or we could bet that. That's fine. I wouldn't mind a third pot bet here either, because it's a really like it's a hard board for them to hit, for sure. Okay. But like as a general rule, I'm a fan of the check everything out of position in these multi-way pots strategy. Yeah. The only hand I would probably consider exploitatively betting is Ace-5 of hearts. Like just because that hand does super well and doesn't block any of the hands we want to call.
Okay.
But anyway, all right. Said I was going to speed this up. All right, but yeah, checking here is pretty standard.
Yeah.
When they both check, you could get away with betting the turn.
Yeah, I think
it wouldn't be bad.
Check again, just again due to them being wrecks. But
so like when multiple people check the flop in these spots, it essentially means that they don't have a good hand, right? So like the button doesn't have any good hands on the flop, really. Right, he might have like a small amount of like 7s full or whatever.
Yeah.
But he doesn't really have any good hands.
Okay.
And he can still have like Jack 10 or something, which isn't great.
Yeah.
But the small blind doesn't really have a Jack.
Yeah.
So I like to play these spots pretty aggressively on the turn, but checking is just fine as well, for sure.
No problem. No.
But we'll see what you go to for. If you go for the bet on the river, I kind of like it.
That's a good check.
You have to go for a big spot, a big size if you do it though.
Yeah, I think I was thinking about it.
Well, at least he had a good hand, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah, that seems fine for sure. Like you can't go too wrong just playing pretty passively in the multi-way spots, honestly. Yeah. You really can't go wrong just doing that. All right. Ooh. A limper.
Yeah. Yeah, I tend to try and add 1.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I try to obviously make my opens larger, but I think as well it's the general rule for me is that I play tighter against limps behind.
That's correct. Absolutely correct.
But because he was a recreational as well, I guess it doesn't affect it as much. But then again, I don't.
Okay. Anyone who open limps here can be tagged as a recreational.
Okay.
So that's not such a big deal.
I think. You
definitely want to play tighter versus a limp than you would if you just folded. Yeah, I think you can see why that makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You can get away with going pretty massive. I think this size is fine. I would just hit the pot button, but you can definitely go away with going pretty large.
Okay.
But yeah. Ace Jack off, obviously really standard ISO. Okay, we get called by the button. So I'm guessing the button is an unknown, right?
Yeah. I've not seen them on other tables.
Yeah. I don't recognise his name either, for what it's worth.
Yeah, I'm trying to think what I remember doing here.
So yeah, very standard check.
Yeah.
Mainly for the same reasons we just talked about, actually. But yeah.
I think again I check back here, I believe.
Ooh, we're tanking here, Aaron. What
I
are
think
we
I'm thinking about it. Oh right, sorry, there was a bet. I don't know what I was doing.
Okay.
I think I'm just
you think
thinking
this is a pretty clear fold in hindsight, right?
Yeah, sorry, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
I think
okay,
I'm just
okay. I don't think we need to go into that too much. As much as like my like inner self would really love to see you just bomb it here, I don't think it's good.
It's a really weird card having the Jack of Diamonds because obviously you have a great card to bluff with, but also then you also
you don't it's not
catching.
really that big a deal because like Jack 8 is such a small part of his range.
Yeah.
And people are just never ever going to fold an 8 on that board.
Okay, yeah.
So like exactly what removal cards you have just does not matter on that board. Like
yeah, okay.
Basically not all. I guess it's a good example of another spot where having more equity is more important than having blockers.
Yeah.
But yeah. That's fine, yeah. Probably 3-bet something like. We could definitely get away with 3-betting that sometimes. I don't know.
Yeah,
I think it's fine as a fold, honestly.
Yeah. I think the sizing again is just 3x again.
So one thing to remember is that you get a better price on your 3-bet when they go bigger, which incentivizes you to 3-bet more. But the problem is that most of the time when people are raising larger, they're playing tighter.
Yeah.
So. But yeah, what? Okay, I guess we can go into this. If we go back to this hand, actually, what range would you look to 3-bet this spot, like roughly? If you want to just like quote your like range that you have.
That's what I'm doing.
Then that's fine. But here's what I would do.
Quant for this, 5s plus, ace 10 off plus, any ace X suited, anything Jack 9 suited, Queen 9 suited, King 9 suited, 10-9 suited, 10-8 suited apparently, 9-8 suited, 8-7, 6-7 suited, and then like King Queen off or above.
This range looks good. Something like this looks good actually. Yeah.
It says Queen Jack off is either a raise or a fold. So
you can probably get away with either. Again, just tightening up is not a mistake.
Yeah,
for sure. But yeah, just make sure you're not like being a super nit here.
No.
Is the important thing. Like if you start only 3-betting like 10s plus, then you're just gonna lose out a lot of money basically. All right.
Think I flat here, don't I?
Yep. This hand is definitely fine as a defend. This is another one of those spots where I would be careful about over defending. At least I know like I used to over defend a lot. But a hand like this versus a min raise is just like easily a call.
Oh, you're gonna see what he did. I remember this hand.
Does he like jam or something? Oh, he full pots. He full pots.
Yeah, and I think I mean I'm gonna say what happened before I did. I think I fold. I don't know, maybe I should be peeling a turn because obviously I have a hand, but I also was just like, any turn doesn't help, like, other than a 7 or over Queen. And I was just like, when he pops it like this, he's just, I don't know if he's ever done this.
It can be a reasonable argument, again, to go for like hands that have good equity versus the nuts.
Yeah,
hands like this. That's fine. But yeah, against someone that's just like full potting this board, we can probably just fold a lot. That's fine.
Yeah, it's obviously really bad by them, but
yeah, like like, we probably have to call this from an MDF standpoint.
Right.
But we can definitely get away with just folding. Particularly when we don't have a backdoor flush draw as well. I would probably call Queen 7 of diamonds.
What's MDF again?
Minimum defense frequency. So
okay, yep.
basically, it's just when he bets here,
yep,
he's getting a certain price on his bluff. So in this exact spot, I'll simplify it and call it a pot size bet. But if he wins, if you fold more than half the time that he does this, then he makes profit immediately with any two cards.
Okay.
Right. So generally speaking, from a theory standpoint, we would have to continue at least half the time. In practice, we probably don't. In practice, it's fine to just like fold hands like this in this spot. I mean, particularly if we just think he's like a wreck and just like has ace king or whatever, or aces or whatever. Yeah. Yeah, the low jack range actually hits this board pretty hard generally. So
yeah.
All right, I think ETH is fine for sure. As long as we don't raise.
I think I might.
But you would have a very, very clear call with this versus a smaller sizing.
Yeah.
Like, this is another one of those boards that he should probably just third pot everything.
Yep.
Yeah. Alright. This is too loose. We talked about this. We talked about this earlier.
Oh, Jack 10, yeah.
We talked about this earlier, but it's like kind of marginal from the cutoff, and it's just too loose from the hijack. It's just straight up too loose.
I think I get a free bet. I'm not sure though.
You get a flat. Now, Fortune Mix is a decent reg. I do recognise that name.
Okay.
He's been playing a lot. It's worth noting here. But obviously, if you don't know that at the time.
But yeah, this flop was shite for everyone.
So this is a board. This is a board where like everyone misses it very frequently.
Yeah.
Like very frequently. So if you wanted to just third pot this board like every time, even three ways, that would be fine.
Okay.
But again, checking everything is the way I like to deal with these spots. Yeah, I guess the main reason to check everything is that if you bet and then check, it's really hard to balance that range. It's really, really hard to balance the bet check range in these spots.
Yeah.
Anyway. Alright, that's a good card.
It was a 10 on a 10, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, very, very clear call. Don't think we need to talk much about this.
Yeah, it's obviously we're not raising here ever, and we're not full.
Alright, so obviously this is a somewhat interesting spot.
Yeah. I'll talk for it now if you want.
Yeah, go for it.
So,
I wasn't sure to start myself, but yeah, go for it.
So obviously the turn's a great card. We're never ever raising, so a flat
well,
is fine.
the turn is like standard. It says like what we're doing now on the river.
Yeah. So when he bets here, I feel like he can be doing this with a large frequency of his bluffs, such as any like combo of hearts, 5-6, ace deuce.
Can be, yeah.
And other things. I don't feel like he'd ever barrel a king on the turn because it wouldn't make much sense other than king 10. Obviously, if he has a 3 or 4, we still have to call. And at the end of the day, we're only really losing to hands such as like a 3x type of hand, but he doesn't really have many on the small blind either. And
okay, yeah, that's true. Yeah, all of what you said there makes sense for sure.
Yeah, and I think at the end I just opt to a call because if I'm beat, I'm beat, but most of the time I shouldn't be.
Okay, call because if I'm beat, I'm beat.
Well, no,
not the best articulation.
No,
but what you're saying is right.
After what all I said, in consideration of everything else that I said about he can do this with a lot of his bluffs and things, I feel like he has more bluffs than value.
Yeah, I would totally agree. he will definitely have a king sometimes, and you just have to suck that up. Like, should probably only really have king X of hearts and king 10.
Yeah.
But in practice, I think you might find some people just like betting the turn with king queen because, you know, I got 2 overs or whatever.
Yeah.
But like, a lot of the hands are just happy enough to bet this river. And in particular, in this spot, what's weird is that we have a 10 like really often.
Yeah.
Like really, really often we have a 10. So we definitely have to call some 10x. And this seems fine, yeah. I think... Yeah. Yeah, I think I'm pretty happy to just call her. Another consideration is that people should probably be betting ace-10 for value here, but probably aren't in practice.
Yeah.
That's a big consideration. In runouts like this, where like the last couple cards are overcards to the previous ones, people are way too hesitant to bet thin for value. That's one of the biggest population leaks.
Yeah.
Sort of stake, I think. So yeah, pretty happy if you decide to call him. Woo! Nice one.
Yeah, we do take it down.
Easy. Yeah, nice call. I think I like your logic there for sure.
Yeah.
It's good. All right. Some more regs are sitting down at the table. Yeah, this hand is fine as an open again.
This hand makes me laugh because you'll see in a minute.
Okay.
I don't think it's anything to do. I think I Cbet this board. I don't know why, but anyway.
Okay.
I think I should obviously be checking, but I think it's because she writes while she was tanking. While I was tanking, she writes "come on," as in like get on with the hands or something. I don't know. Like, but we'll come to it. So just
okay.
Let it play out. This is very odd.
So firstly in there, you just said you think you should be checking, but you decided to Cbet, and you said that you didn't really know why you Cbet.
Yeah, I think I Cbet. I don't know. Looking at it now, I think I Cbet because obviously I've got a draw, which is before.
Yeah.
And also I have backdoor equity as well, with the flush. And yeah.
So something to consider about these boards is this is a board in which we can get raised somewhat often, and the big blind can have a lot of the same kind of like strong hands that we can.
Yeah. Okay.
We definitely don't want to Cbet everything on this board for that reason.
Right. Yeah.
But hands like this have some good equity, some good removal, because a 5, not only does it block a straight, but it blocks 7-5, 6-5, 3-5, and 8-5. It blocks tons of hands that would call.
Yeah.
And in particular on this board, something to consider is that if we get raised with this hand, we don't really like hate our life. Like it's fine. I might be more hesitant to Cbet a hand like 8-9, like 8-9 of diamonds. Probably prefer to check that hand.
Yeah.
Stuff like that, where we have more equity that we want to realize, and we really hate getting raised.
Yeah.
Whereas with this hand, if we get raised, so what, man? So be it. So definitely like the Cbet. We have to go. Remember that when we're Cbetting less frequently, we want to Cbet larger size.
Yeah.
That's the general rule of sizing.
Yeah, I don't know if I do. I think I do Cbet this. I'm not sure.
The less frequently, in fact, as a general rule for the whole game, the less often we do something, the larger size we make it. So, yeah, this size is too small for that reason.
I got third pot.
You went third pot, yeah.
Yeah,
You want to go more like 2/3. So.
Okay, yeah.
For sure. Alright, we get called. King of Diamonds.
So now this is why I barreled the turn again, and it's only off because she wrote "come on" in the chat. I know it sounds really stupid, but I tanked, and that's why she was like "come on," and I was just like, "Oh, there you go."
I would strongly recommend not reading much into that. Into stuff like that. I would probably just like try not to think too much about that and just play the hands as they come. Though I can understand the want to just put it in their face after that.
But I think I still.
To be honest,
to be honest,
I would be a big fan of just making it a huge size here.
Right. Okay.
So the King of Diamonds, she probably shouldn't really have a king very often at all.
Yeah. Other than maybe like King 7 suited or something.
Yeah,
like
other than the 2 pairs, for sure,
hand.
and maybe like King 5 suited. The problem, I guess, this is another problem with your third pot bet as well, because she might be able to get away with floating like King Queen versus that size.
Right. Okay.
Is the problem, but yeah, she doesn't really have a king very often, and she also doesn't really have a nuttish hand very often because she would mostly raise those on the flop.
Yeah.
Yeah, so probably doesn't have 7-6 suited, 4-4-5 suited very often.
Yeah.
So if we just make it massive, we just get a fold really often here.
Okay.
And we can just barrel this turn really aggressively. And as we've discussed, this is a pretty good hand to do that with.
Yeah, I think I do make it larger. I think I go 3/4, but obviously, yeah, I want to go larger.
We have to go at least 3/4 on this card for sure, because our thinnest value bet is a king, right?
Okay.
Like we could go smaller and throw like 8s and 9s in there as well, but mostly we're representing a king here. In any case.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. So 2/3, it's okay, but in these spots where people like have just called flop and mostly brick the turn.
Yeah.
We wanna like those are spots where we can just fucking go ape shit. Right, like if we made it like even if we made it like 2x pot, I think the spot would be fine, honestly.
Yeah.
But yeah, all right. So that's that. We do get the fold anyway, which is nicer for sure. Fucking Carol. Honestly. Honestly, Carol. Oh, okay. Well, there was what the hell happened? That happened too fast for me. The small blind flattered, and the big blind insta flattered behind. All right, interesting. All right, so I guess we get to talk about multi-way pots in position now.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So I guess we get to talk about recreational players now.
Yeah.
Okay. So firstly, we're going to talk about if he had checked. When we're in position in multi-way pots, particularly on boards where we have like a pretty strong range, like this one, then we want to bet really, really, really often.
Yeah. Okay. I think I would have bet.
This would be a third pot everything spot if they both checked.
Okay.
In particular, you know, when the small blind doesn't 3-bet, they just have tons of like weakish crap on this board, like, you know, your jack 9s and your 10-8s and stuff like that. And we just put tons of pressure on that range, and we have a gut shot, so obviously nice. Facing a big donk here, and
I think I opt to call. Maybe I think I should be raising. I don't know.
So I think that raising these spots can be a little scary.
Yeah.
Because we expect people to mostly have hands like pocket 3s and queen jack when they donk here. Yeah. What I find in actuality is that when people donk on boards like this and on other like dryish boards, is they just have loads of like random crap or middling shit.
Yeah.
And that we get it through a hell of a lot if we put in a raise here.
Right. Okay.
So I would probably look to raise this spot.
Okay.
Yeah. The way I deal with these spots generally is to call strong hands and raise weak or middling ones.
Okay.
As exploitable as that sounds, if the guy has already donked for like over half pot on a board like this, then we can probably get away with it.
Okay.
Call with a hand like this is a bit weak, because if he chooses to barrel, we're just going to have to fold any card that isn't like a king or a 10, right?
Yeah, I get you.
So we just like don't get to realize. However, if you have the skill of banging out a 10 on the turn, then it's a pretty good call. All right. So the small blind came along as well. That's another reason to raise as well. The small blind will fold really often.
Yeah.
Like he can only really continue queen jack and pocket threes if we raise. So all right. So anyway.
Yeah, I think my.
All right.
Yeah. I'm gonna throw out a disclaimer. My
Sure.
sizings in these sort of spots are always shite. I don't know how large to make them ever.
It can be quite complicated. What you want to aim for in a spot like this is to have about a pot-sized bet going into the river if they call, right?
Yep.
So in this situation, if he were to call, he would have about $21 behind,
Right. Okay.
and the pot would be like $17.50. So it would still be a slight over pot. So the thing about this particular spot though is that he can't really have the nuts, so we can get away with going as big as we want.
Okay.
I might be tempted to trap a hand like this on the turn, to be honest, just because I think that most people just have loads of random wank in this spot, and the small blind is pretty likely to call 2 streets.
Okay.
To be honest, but raising the nuts, as a general rule, can never be that bad.
Okay. Yep.
Yeah, and we don't expect him to have ace king here, obviously. So.
Yep.
It's fine. Yeah, so yeah, you sort of see why I'm tempted to like really put the pressure on and attack these like weird donking ranges, because they're mostly just full of shite.
Yeah.
Is a thing to note, and that's why I would flat the turn as well.
Cool.
So yeah, that's quite an exploitative thing. That might not be applicable in 6 months' time. But yeah. But the thing about multi-way pots is the theory just like largely goes out the window. Honestly, particularly when you're dealing with spots like that. So that's what I would do. So this is an okay raise if we like decide to go a bit looser than normal.
Yeah.
I happen to know that every other player in this hand is a good reg.
Oh, okay.
So this is too loose. In particular, you want to watch out for the people that are aggressive on the button, and people that are good in the big blind. That makes you want to tighten up more. Like those are the 2 spots where you really need to look at and adjust.
Okay.
Whereas the cutoff and the small blind less important because they don't play many hands.
Yeah. Okay.
Is the green tag a good reg tag?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, good. Okay, cool. Well, you found one. Yeah, when I've been in the Zoom pool the last few days, I've literally just been like staring at who is 4-tabling and 3-tabling and just tagging them all as potential regs.
Yeah.
For a while, I think that works, honestly. All right. All right. So hands like these should just be folds.
Right.
Unless you're against like a min size or like a really bad player. Like these hands don't play well, basically. Like, you know, sometimes you bang out a king, but even then you don't get to like shovel money in, and same with the 6, and the rake just destroys these hands, honestly.
Yeah.
So I would fold a hand like this for sure. Probably the loosest king X I would defend against this is off king 9 off. Right. But yeah, also I know that this guy is a reg. So yeah. A weirdly large sizing, but okay, yeah. Obviously folding. We could get away with opening that hand on the button. It'd be alright, but I don't mind
Yeah.
folding.
Oh, 5-10 suited, was it?
Yeah, 10-5 suited on the button is an okay open. Particularly if they're weak in the big blind. Alright, we're about halfway through. How do you feel about going to like 6? Would you be alright with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
That's fine, sure. Yeah, okay. Let me just get through everything. It's nice. Alright, so yeah, I would obviously just defend that against just the button open, but this is the 3-bet. I guess we can talk about cold 4-betting.
Yeah.
Here, I guess this is a decent spot to talk about that. Here it is. What range would you look to 4-bet versus this? So I take it you're aware not to flat anything versus this, right?
Yeah. So, I don't know. It's a tough one because like this is one of the spots where it's like I never really know. Obviously, we like potentially jacks or queens up. Obviously, ace kings.
Yeah. If you stick to
ace queen, you probably want to fold.
That's I mean that's like almost exactly right, Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. In this cold 4-bet in general, you have to play really, really tight just because obviously they're both uncapped.
Yeah.
When it's big blind versus small blind versus button, probably do like 10s plus ace king, ace queen suited.
Right.
Probably do that versus this. But if you wanna if you don't know, if you're not sure, can't go wrong with queens plus ace king.
Yeah.
Cannot go wrong. Alright. Main thing is just not to flat any hands there, for sure. But you already know that.
Yeah. I have the ranges for cold 4-betting, but I don't know if these are correct because it's saying to flatten 7s, 8s, 9s, 10-9 suited, jack 10 suited, queen jack suited, queen.
Is this big blind versus small blind versus button?
It says big blind versus small blind 3-bet and button open.
Yeah. That seems quite aggressive.
Okay.
I guess that in higher stakes games, people are playing are 3-betting much more often from the small blind.
Yeah.
Whereas versus like 25 NL regs, a load of those hands just won't be profitable.
Yeah, I mean, if it was like, it says if it was like a button versus small blind, 3-bet versus like early position, the hands you only really want to be
then it really
kings
tightens up.
and aces and ace kings.
Exactly right. As a general rule, though, you can't go wrong with going like a bit too tight in that spot. You're not going to lose a ton of EV by not 3-betting queen jack suited or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. All right. Zebens.
For a minute I thought I flattered because it paused on the 25 cent. And I was like, what am I? Oh, the 7 hands is really bad.
Okay. Well, let's just go through it. So, when he goes for the tiny 3-bet, obviously we have very well. Firstly, tag that fucker as a recreational.
I did immediately.
Yep.
Immediately.
Yeah, absolutely worth it. But yeah, getting min 3-bet isn't that big a deal because you just get to call everything.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's nice. Alright, king 10-3. So what sort of hands do we expect people to check back on this flop?
Tall air and the nuts, I guess. I don't know.
So
or middling pairs as well. Middling pairs. So like maybe like 10x.
Yeah.
Even 3x.
So I think you're gonna see a lot more of people checking hands like kings, ace 10, queens and jacks, and they might not even have ace 10 here. Like recreationals probably just have tons of queens and jacks here.
Yeah.
Right.
And with this turn, I I don't know what I did. I think I led. I don't know why. I think it's really bad, isn't it?
I mean, it doesn't seem that bad. No, I was
Yeah,
gonna say
I don't know.
kind of like it.
It's like we have obviously a club now, so now we are drawing to a flush.
So here's the thing. Here's the thing, right? The guy can have pocket kings, right?
Yeah.
But we very rarely expect him to have ace king. Very rarely expect him to have aces. Very rarely expect him to have tens. Very rarely expect him to have a not flush, because most of them just bet the flop, right? Doesn't really have queen jack. We have tons of those hands. Okay, we can have loads of those hands. And he just has queens and jacks a lot, right? Yeah. So if you wanna just go fucking ballistic in this spot, I would be a fan.
Okay.
I would be a fan. I would be a fan of going like just putting the $2 on this turn. And obviously we have a club as well, right? So how bad can it be?
Yeah.
So if you chose to lead here, I like it. You do have to go big because he doesn't have any air, really.
Yeah.
Like we don't really expect people to do this with like ace queen.
Okay.
But yeah. Yeah, checking's also alright, but I kinda would have liked to see.
Oh, did I check?
Ooh, do we go for the check raise, Aaron?
Did I?
Ooh, do we go for the check raise?
Oh yeah.
I kind of like it, you know. I actually really kind of like it.
I think it was because in my head I was like, this looks more...
that really sucks to get called.
Yeah, it's like it looks stronger. I think that was going through what was through my head. I think again I've made it too small.
Alright, you definitely did make it a little small, yeah, for sure. But it's not like a huge mistake. And you can still like jam the betting range on the river. So it's fine, it's fine. Wouldn't worry about it too much. I just wouldn't get very particular about the sizings in those kind of spots in general. As long as you're not like leaving a tiny amount behind on the river, then you're alright. Okay, so we've sort of discussed the check raise. I think that just leading big is slightly preferable.
Yeah.
But I think check raising is kind of cool.
Okay. Good.
What do we think about the river, though?
Awful. But if it's any rule, I know, and I think I just give up in the end. But if I remember rightly, it's like the only way you're ever gonna win a pot on this river is bet, because we're not gonna we have no showdown value really.
Correct. Yeah.
And obviously we just have to bet now. But I think I check and shut down.
I probably think we should shut and check this down as well at this point.
Yeah.
So the thing is that as we discussed, the reason that we check raise the turn is mostly to bet fold hands like queens and jacks.
Yep.
There is a little bit of concern that he might bet call queens with the club or jacks with the club.
Yep.
That's not great to know. But those are 3 combos of each.
Yeah.
And he has 3 combos of king's full, probably. Like if he's checking any hands on the flop, probably checking kings as well. So bluffing here isn't too attractive. Remember that we have to get him to fold more than half the time.
Yeah.
So if he like ever bet folds queens or jacks on the turn, we're just gonna have a very unprofitable bluff. So I would check fold here as well.
Yeah.
But I actually quite like the check raise on the turn, honestly. Yeah, okay. I think we can say that he probably had like just king's full.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that hand is well played, honestly.
Oh, good. Because I
think that hand is well played.
Time, but...
No. Okay. 25 NL zoom. 25 NL zoom.
Oh yeah.
Alright.
This was a weird spot, I think.
This is a very weird and rare spot, and I'm not gonna take.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take a lot of time on it because of that.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, I have ace king here, and it's like I'm still raising. I believe.
Well, you have a very clear 3-bet here for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's see if we can just win this one. Oof. He cashed out.
That's what I thought.
And you binks the ace. Very sick. Wonderful. All right, yeah, I'm not. Yeah, nothing to discuss there for sure. Yeah. So as we said, I would be hesitant to put a good reg tag on someone that was short stacking.
I don't know. I think I didn't put it on him straight away. I think it was already on him.
But yeah, with 2 regs in the blinds, then we can just fold this. But it's close enough that it's not a big mistake. For sure.
Yeah, fair enough. Oh,
Carol.
Oh yeah.
I would be hesitant about just putting the rec tack on her, just because she put something in the chat. Like that can also be like fun regs, like I don't know, me, but maybe it's yeah. But yeah, sure. All right.
She just made me laugh. I don't know why.
I mean, she definitely made us laugh for sure. For sure, she did extract that out of us. But yeah, very careful. I played a great hand with the under the gun guy there yesterday. Oh, dude.
They had a little streak where I just got like deuce X off.
It happens. That's why I play Zoom, though, innit?
Oh yeah.
So yeah, again, I think this is just about okay versus the button. But be very careful about defending them versus larger or versus other positions.
Yeah.
Like, don't just default to just calling every ace every time. For sure. Alright. So I don't think there's much to talk about here. We should probably just check this on the turn.
Yeah.
But I guess the question is, like... Actually, yeah, this is a really weird spot, and most people just bet flop. And we can just shut down a lot on the turn, because they just mostly have a king.
Yeah.
Ooh, a blue Thunder River. So... What hands do we think... So, first things first, this player should definitely be betting the flop virtually every time.
Yeah.
And when checks... should definitely be betting the turn virtually every time, right?
Yeah.
So that means that in some way his range is fucked, right?
Yeah.
So what hands do you think he is weighted towards here? What kind of hands?
Drawing hands.
Draws. Stuff like Jack 10?
Yeah. He's not got, well, I don't know. It's like he hasn't got value. I don't know. Does he have value hands? I don't know.
Okay. It's fine.
Really
it's fine. So most of the time, like draws are gonna bet a street.
Mm-hmm.
And
on the flop. Yeah.
Yeah, like either on the flop or on the turn for sure, right? So it's pretty unlikely he has a hand like Queen Jack, Jack 10, 7 6, whatever. Okay.
I feel like maybe he has a lot of other ace X maybe that's
yeah, it's gonna be mostly hands like Ace Jack, Ace Queen, Ace 10. Now, having an ace in our hand certainly isn't ideal as a result of that. And some people will trap a king sometimes.
Okay.
But his range is not very strong here, so this is a decent spot to just pound it. And you did that, and I think that's fine, for sure.
Yeah.
If you got called by like Ace 8, then rip, but no, okay. That happens sometimes as well, but that's okay. Alright, 6-5 suited on the button. Another small blind flatter. If you see this kind of thing happening a lot, consider going bigger on the button. Like if you wanted to make it 3x on the button, I think that would be okay. For sure. Alright, so we face a 3-bet here, a squeeze from P Walker 9. What are we thinking with the 5, with the 6-5 suited?
I mean, I'll tell you what I did at first.
Okay, that's fine.
slapped the ranges up, and because I was like not really sure where this man stands. So let me just get it up again. So what was it? Button, and it was a free bet from the big blind. So here I'm raising hands such as jacks plus ace king suited and off, and apparently I'm bluffing with ace deuce to ace 5 suited.
That seems like an okay way to do it. I would recommend. I would recommend with the 4-bet hands to just mix in a load of different kind of ones. Yeah. So like every now and then just throw in an ace 10 suited or an ace jack off or something like that. I would recommend to do that instead of just always having the relaces. But I'm not too interested in what kind of hands you're 4-betting here.
Yeah, sorry, yeah. So
in particular with your 4-bets. Sorry, in particular with your 4-bets, it's going to be tighter when it's a squeeze range.
Yeah.
As well. But yeah, go on. I just want to know sort of what you're thinking of doing here with the 6-5 suited exactly.
So I flat because that's what it says I should do.
Okay. All right.
But obviously, no. When I mean that's what it says, that's just what my range says. But obviously, it is all situational. But I do consider very much folding, but I'd just play off my range.
So in this spot, there's a few different things going on that make it a bit different to the normal like button versus big blind dynamic. Yep. When it's normal button v big blind, I think it's totally fine to call 6-5 suited if it's a normal size. Mainly because people are, well, firstly because it's actually pretty standard. But also, you know, if people are not going to be 3-betting enough, then you get more implied odds on stuff like straights and flushes.
Yep.
This spot is quite different for a few reasons from the like standard chart spot. And this is why you want to try and like move away from just charts a bit sooner, right? But first things first is it's a lower stakes game, so there's more rake. The big blind is likely to be a lot tighter, partially because it's only 25 NL, and partially because the squeeze range is a lot tighter than a normal big blind 3-betting range.
Yeah.
The size is pretty standard, but the thing that makes it worth calling here is that we have a bad player in the small blind who's going to overcall a lot. So our implied odds go up.
Okay.
So I'm totally on board with flying for that reason. And mostly that reason. Alright, I just need to turn on a light in my room real quick.
No problem.
Alright. Alright, so if you decide to call here, then good stuff.
Yeah, I think I do in the end.
It's not like a fist bump for sure, but when there's a bad player in between and they don't make it that big, then you can get away with calling pretty light.
Yeah.
In particular, a lot better to call these kind of hands than a hand like ace 10 off or king jack off or whatever.
Yeah.
Sadly, the small blind does fold, but
yeah. Kev T puts really informative stream. Thanks, guys.
Oh, no worries, Kev. Catch you later, man. Catch you later. You'll be able to catch this as a YouTube video as of... I'll probably upload it tomorrow as well. But yeah, alright. Okay, king 7-3, and we face a third pot bet.
Just refreshing the stream on it. So yeah, I think what was going through my head at this time was like, I obviously have a drawing hand, but I'm only drawing to a4. Obviously no flush in the back, so I pretty much only have 4 cards in the deck that are good for me. So I think I just opt to fold in this spot in the end.
Okay.
Just because...
Few things going on here. Obviously we don't have that great a hand.
Yeah.
But versus a third pot, we want to call more often than just with like a pair or a flush draw. We want to have some floats in there that we can bluff on later streets.
Okay.
And 6-5 of diamonds makes a lot of sense for that reason. Because if we get double barreled on a brick turn, whatever. And what happens sometimes is that, you know, you get check 2 on the turn and you can blast off with that hand.
Yep.
like generally speaking, when we're facing like these boards, so that we're not overfolding, we want to throw in some like pretty marginal floats.
Okay.
So, you know, a hand like Queen Jack off with the Queen of Clubs could make some sense.
Yep.
Or a hand like 8-7 of Hearts could make some sense. But 5-4 of diamond, but 6-5 of diamonds is a reasonably good one to use as well.
Okay.
So definitely consider calling that spot, but it's close, and I don't really mind either way.
Yeah.
Maybe call 6-5 of Hearts instead of that one.
Yeah.
That's fine. Yeah. All right. That's good. That's good. Yeah, very, very clear fold there for a lot of the reasons that I've talked about already.
Which one's this? The king 3?
This is the king 3. Yeah. All right. Right, even if I don't get through the video, I'll call it a day at like 6.
Yeah, that's fine.
Seems unlikely we're going to get through all of
think
this. I massively underestimated how long I would talk about random shit.
I think because it's obviously Zoom as well, you're just getting through hands much quicker than if I was sat on a table.
Yeah,
with, like,
there's a lot
six-
more hands happening
yeah,
than
table,
I might have been ready for as well, yeah. But yeah. Alright, we have the Jacks, a notoriously difficult hand to play.
Mm-hmm. Oh, this is an interesting hand. Okay.
Alright, okay.
Yeah, I already have this one already.
Okay, so what do we do here?
I flat.
Yep. Pretty
just because when it's I always assume when it's the position next to you, it's always a tighter range than if it was on the button or the big.
It's. I mean,
not always, but like, you know, when you're like in the low jack hijack sort of like free.
Yeah,
the hijack's 3-betting range is tighter. Yeah.
The hijack's 3-betting range is tighter, but in general,
obviously it's a little bit.
In general, the 3-bet ranges versus the low jack are all really tight.
Yeah. It's obviously positional. Obviously, I don't mean every position where they open you on the next one is.
But if this is like button v small blind, then definitely look to 4-bet this hand. Like, don't fall into the trap of just always flatting it versus 3-bet.
Yeah.
But anyway, this is a very, very clear flat here. Yep. Okay. That's a good flop.
Yep.
Okay, let's see what happens. So I'll just go ahead and say that this is a good reg. This is one of the better regs in the pool. Okay. And they go for a 2/3 pot bet. So what do we think we are looking to do here with exactly this hand?
I don't know. I opted for a raise, and the reason I would, because I would obviously have drawing hands that I would maybe raise on this board as well. So I feel like mixing your bluffs and your value.
So which kind of like drawing-y hands would we use?
Obviously 2 clubs, so a flush draw.
But like exactly what combos of that do we have? Because what I think is happening here is that you probably think you have more of those hands than you should. So in terms of just like suited ace-x versus a 3-bet, we really should only have ace-10 suited plus.
Yeah, okay.
Like we shouldn't really have ace-8 of clubs. Shouldn't really have ace-7 of clubs. So if you wanted to use ace-queen suited and ace-10 suited, then that would be okay to balance out jacks and 9s. But if we do that, then
right, yeah, I'm seeing what's going wrong here.
Just see what the problem is here. Yeah.
Yeah, I never have king queen suited or jack 10 suited. Or I could have jack 10 suited, but I never have.
You can probably have. You can definitely have like. You can have some of those hands to use as bluffs as well. Those are options as well, for sure. I guess the problem is that your overall range is quite tight.
Yeah.
And I think another problem here, honestly, is that if we raise,
it's gonna fold a lot.
It's just gonna fold ace king and
what's he calling better?
Like it's gonna suck a lot. He doesn't really have 9s. You know, it's just like. So I think while sort of in a vacuum, raising this hand can't be that bad, and it can't be that bad. It can't be that bad. But I think calling is going to be slightly better, even given the risk that, you know, a queen rolls off or a 10 rolls off. I think that's true. I don't mind either way. But but it's very, very easy on a board like this to raise too much.
Right, okay.
Or to raise thinking that you're protected and raising, and then really you're just like super nutted every time.
Yeah.
And I guess that's kind of like, the argument for just not raising that much in general when we're at a range disadvantage, which is actually what's going on here.
Yeah.
Because, yeah. Okay. Okay, cool. When we do raise, though, we do have a very clear jam on the turn. Obviously, you know, we can run into aces and kings somewhat frequently here.
Yeah.
But we stack ace king often enough that it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
And maybe ace queen of clubs as well.
Yeah.
The other thing I'll say about that spot, just to finish off there, is that when you're versus a recreational, it's much more okay to raise.
Yeah.
Whereas if you're versus a reg, like you're gonna get hands to like aces and ace king to fold if you do stuff like that.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep. Go for the open here, no problem. Right, ace queen 10. Okay. So generally speaking, one thing that I would advocate for you doing, honestly, one thing that I would advocate you doing in general is going into your settings, going into your bet slider, and removing the half pot button.
Okay. Yeah,
because it's just like every spot, it's going to be better either as a third or 2/3.
Right. Okay.
Right. Like almost every spot is like that in like the whole game. I actually think that's a really, really good thing that you can do, for sure. Particularly on this board, again, either we want to use the third pot everything strat or the polarized strat. I'm not entirely sure looking at it which one we prefer to do. I think I would look to polarize this board just because he's going to have loads of one pair hands, but he doesn't really have the nuts.
Yeah.
So I would look to like use a pot size bet on this board and just blast it in his face, and then check hands like this. But third pot everything can't be that bad either.
Yeah.
But half pot hand like this is pretty no bueno. All right, are we good with that?
Yeah, that's fine.
Yeah, cool. All right. Well, we have a very clear check turn now, which I assume you do. I love the little flickers you do. Okay. Calling this hand on the turn is very, very loose.
Yeah, okay.
And I think it comes from that kind of like fucked range thing that you did on the flop.
Yeah.
But like, firstly, having a 9 blocks a lot of the draws that we want him to have.
Yeah.
And we can just have an ace. We can just have an ace, and it's no big deal. And we can just call our ace X and fold hands like this.
Okay, I see. Yeah,
for sure. And you just have to fold so many rivers. Like, so many rivers. Like, you might think, oh, well, I can turn it into a bluff on an 8 river or something, but, like, that's not really a good enough reason. Honestly. Also, you have hands like King, Queen, Queen, Jack, King 10, Jack 10. Those can all call because they have equity, because they have draws.
Yeah.
Whereas calling Queen 9 is just way too loose. Alright, I think we've beaten that horse. Enough. All right, so we have a look at the range here, real quick, and then fold. Yes,
No,
that's a
I
fold.
think I was just looking out of curiosity.
Okay.
It's just like, I wonder what ace I would call here. Or raise, yeah.
So the way I would deal with that spot is I like to play 3-bet or fold with everything in this spot versus the low jack. I like to do that whenever I'm not on the button. The button is the only one which I really flat anything. Right. If I was going to have some flats, then it would be ace queen off. That's the only ace X. That's the only offsuit hands that that's the only offsuit hand that I would call.
Yeah, low jack is the cutoff on mine. Just says 6s to 10s to flat. I think that's just to set mine, but and then ace
that
queen
can
off.
be okay. That can be okay. Throwing some like good suited hands in there is fine as well. But I prefer to play 3-bet or fold with a quite tight linear strategy.
Right. Okay.
Yeah. But ace 10 off is not in either of those ranges. So yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm not going to go too much into what I would 3-bet there because it's fairly recent for me as well.
Yeah, that's fine.
Alright, just gotta wait for another big hand.
Everyone.
Okay, fun times.
Oh yeah, yeah. The guy just jams the 20.
So silly. So silly. Dude, I get really nervous like about misclicking call in those spots.
You just see me over and over.
I know, you'll play with fire. You're like, what is the purple tag?
Maniac.
Maniac. Okay.
Just idiot in general. Like just bad.
All right. Yeah.
I think it made the other person tag though. I'm not sure. It was really weird.
Okay. That happens sometimes for sure as well. Yeah. But if we know the guy is a maniac, then we definitely want to flat some hands like 6s and 6s through 10s.
Yeah.
For sure. Were you thinking of opening that if it folded to you?
What was it?
9-8 off?
No.
No, okay. You just wanted to see. You just wanted to see it. Okay.
No, I wouldn't do. I don't know why sometimes I just tag
that's good. Bit. I know, yeah, I know. I mean, it can be nice to just like play a bit more slowly when you're in the Zoom tables. That's fine as well. So I guess that one. Sorry, with the Queen 3 suited, I guess that one is when we just looked at the range, and I told you to fold, right?
Yeah.
Which is fine. It's fine. Like you can definitely get away with raising that, but it's also fine as a fold. These spots where we're just waiting to fold are always always fun.
I think I get a water jack free. I'm not sure. I did. And then when you pick up a marginal hand that you can only open with as well.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Ooh. Oh, you removed the tag. Okay.
Yeah, I think it was a glitch.
Sure,
I don't recognize the name. And
yeah, fair enough.
It wasn't the person that jumped into me.
Yeah, fair enough. All right, so ace 10-5 on this board, and we have ace king with the spade. So as we've discussed, there's some boards where we want to go third pot with everything, and some boards where we want to polarize and use a big size. Which of the two do you think this board is?
I want to say because we have the king of spades.
Okay.
But, I might be wrong though.
So did you say third because we have the king of spades?
Well, probably not just down to that reason, but again, it's
a third
one of those where.
So this is like a whole strategy for this particular board, ignoring what hand we have. Just like on this board, do we want to use a strategy where we third pot every hand that we could have? Or do we want to use a strategy where we polarize?
I think polarize.
Okay.
But I might be wrong.
Okay. I would third pot everything this board.
Okay. Right.
Generally speaking, when we have a range advantage, our spots where it can't be that bad to go third
Right.
with
Okay.
everything,
Yeah.
right? And we have a clear range advantage here, like a fairly big one. So that can't be bad. There is definitely an argument to polarize this, mainly that the big blind still has quite a lot of pretty easy calls, like one pair hands here.
Yep.
But yeah, probably third pot everything this board. But I wouldn't mind going for the polarized strategy either. I think you can get away with either on this board.
Yeah,
for sure. But the half pot is a no bueno. Okay, we definitely need to delete the half pot button.
Yeah, I already have. Okay. I've just done it.
Excellent, fantastic. All right. Okay, so we go for half pot. The main thing with going half pot like this is, I think what's happening is you're on the later streets where you're into trouble, is you're not sure which hands you would be betting and checking.
Yeah.
That'll become a lot more clear if you start if you start using the third pots and start using the polarized strats. Those spots in future streets become a lot more clear when you do that.
Yeah.
So we see a 10 turn, and we get a check.
I think barrel and turn is fine again here, but maybe not.
Okay. So the 10 turn. So again, it's a weird spot because we don't know what we would do on the flop. But basically, the way I imagine your half bet is working is that you're doing a polarized strat, which means you're probably not going to bet a 10 on the flop, right?
Yeah,
you probably won't bet a 10. Whereas he's going to check call every single 10.
Yeah, okay.
So on that basis, we want to be really careful with our barrels here.
Okay, and most likely check him back then.
So we should probably check back this hand. It's not horrific, you know, he still has a lot of worse ace-x that we can get value from. Particularly when we have the king of spades and we don't get value from king high flush draws. That makes it more of a check, for sure. But yeah, when the turn comes like really good for the opponent's range, which is what that turn is.
Yeah.
Like, you should probably be you should probably just check everything, actually. Honestly. Yeah. Like, I would probably exploitatively just barrel off fives full.
Yeah, okay.
And also, if we third potted everything on the flop, then we would have a 10 sometimes.
Yeah.
So it wouldn't be such a disaster. So you see, I guess that's the main takeaway from this whole session. Actually, is just the flop C betting stuff.
Yeah.
For sure. All right, we're nearly done here. We'll probably see one or two more important hands. Checking the range. Any suited ace is fine from any position.
Yeah.
Dude, that's fine. All right. So the question comes again. In this spot, do we bet everything for a third, or do we check some and 2/3 pot some? What do you think?
I want to say check and then bet.
All right. So a couple things going on here. The cutoff flatting range should be fairly tight.
Yeah.
Which makes us want to polarize.
Okay.
Most of the boards.
Okay.
But on this board, on this particular board, he has nothing like a lot, right? He has air really, really often, right?
Yeah.
When people have air really often, those are boards where you want to third pot everything.
Right, okay.
Right, because a lot of your hands benefit a lot from getting to fold air, right? So if you have a hand like sixes here, and he folds something like Queen Jack of diamonds, that's good for you, right?
Yeah.
You see how that is. So this is a prime example of a board where we have to third pot everything.
Right. Okay. Yep.
The other reason to go small on these boards in particular, actually, I won't go into that. That's fine. You do actually third pot this, yeah, for sure.
Oh, do I? Well.
Yeah, you did actually third pot here, which is good. So seven on the turn. Are we looking at barreling this hand? Okay.
Oh no.
So first things first, we used that forbidden button again. Generally speaking, our range has to get more polarized.
Yep.
As we go through future streets.
Yep.
And that means we have to go for bigger sizings on each street.
Right. Okay.
So if we go third on the, so I mean, I guess you did that in this hand actually, but but yeah, definitely go like quite big if you're gonna barrel the spot. Yeah, and also this is a really bad hand to use as a barrel here.
Yeah.
We have basically no equity, no like draws or anything. Having an ace is really bad.
Yeah.
Because then he doesn't have hands like ace queen and ace jack that might call the flop. But yeah, that's all I'm gonna say about that one.
I don't know. Clear that. Oh yeah. Oh, did I get it? Oh well. I don't even know how. Knowing what I finished with, I'm a bit worried because I.
Oh, is there a big punt at the end?
I feel like there might be. Yeah.
Okay.
Not massive, obviously.
Well, okay, you folded the 10-9 suited, so.
Yeah.
So that's good.
I'm trying to think. I only lost like 2.5. Wow. I'm trying to think what two though. Must be some.
Well, it might be this one.
Let's have a look. Yes.
Alright. I guess this is going to go
I think I should be folding here
Ah,
anyway.
okay. Nah. So we were going to want to fold
Oh yeah, now
if
we've got
the button
odds.
didn't call. But when the button calls, we get better odds, and the odds matters.
Yeah,
more
I think
than
I do
playability.
call.
So we're fine to call here. But if it was just the two of them, then we should fold for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess the guy is a wreck anyway, but whatever. Alright. Yeah, it's fine. Good stuff, good stuff. Well, you've only got a minute more left to punt
I
off a
don't
stack.
know what happened. What's happened? Maybe it's like a free bet that I just fold to a 4-bet or something. I'm trying to think.
Well, I guess you're going to play this hand, and this is probably going to be the last hand, right?
Yes. This is
all right.
it.
So, yep. Okay. Yeah. So very very standard call. Not going to talk too much about that. Okay. So this is weird because this is another of those boards where he should just go for the third pot.
Yeah.
Right. When people go for a bigger size, it generally means that they are more polarized.
Yeah.
And it means that they are likely to barrel a lot of turns. It's a big thing.
Okay, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
When we have a hand like sixes versus the third pot, we definitely want to call.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But versus this, we definitely don't.
Yeah.
Because there's just not enough turns that improve us. And frankly, we just don't have to do it as a result of MDF.
Yeah.
At least probably not. But it's mainly just that like he's more polarized than he should be. And that's really bad for sixes.
Yeah, okay.
So, yeah. Good fold, good fold. Well, I guess this is it then?
Yeah, I think so.
I'm assuming nothing else happens here. Yeah. Alright. So, just as a conclusion then. So, overall things to work on for sure is... you didn't really make many mistakes pre-flop.
Yeah.
Probably just, like, nail those down. Random Demon 1 recommends just like learning the exact ranges, but you know they'll be different in a month's time. So just like I would recommend just like learning what they look kind of like and intuiting it.
Yeah.
That's what I would recommend. But for the most part, you're not actually doing too badly in that stuff. And just like and the flop C betting stuff is the things that you're making the biggest mistakes in. At least the most obvious ones. At least. It's just like whenever we're betting, we basically always get more EV by going quite small or quite big.
Yeah. Somewhere
in the middle is very, very rarely the correct play.
Right. Okay.
And we can, and at least for the level that we're looking at here, we can simplify every single board into either a board where we see bet everything for a third pot, or a board where we see bet some hands for 2/3 pot.
Right. Okay.
Right. So if you've got rid of the half pot bet on on your bet slider, then that will probably help you. Yeah, the things to look out for in terms of that distinction is if you have a range advantage, that makes you want a third pot more. If they have lots of air in their range, that makes you want a third pot bet more.
Yeah.
If it's a board where you get raised quite often, that makes you want to polarize more. Those are the big three.
Okay.
Yeah. So that sums it up from my end. Do you have any questions about anything?
No, I'm good, man.
Cool.
It's been very good. And
sorry it dragged on a bit. But,
no,
that's
fine.
All right. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah. Thank you for listening, and yeah, hope it helps. All right. As for the YouTube video, this is the end. I'm probably going to be offering this to more members of the society of Uni of York Poker Sock. Shout out UOYP Socks, so hit me up if you fancy that. And as for Twitch viewers, I'm going to be back in a couple of hours to play a session here on stream with my delay back. Yeah, and hopefully I can practice either that or just like practicing what I preach. Is the big thing. Yeah. All right. So see you later, Aaron.
See you later.
See you later, chat. And
yeah, mate.
See you later.